I got a phone call from a guy who, we're talking now, jump forward, I don't know, 20 years, something like that. And I did become a musician. I played in some local bands and this and that. And so I learned, I got to know a lot of other musician friends. And I met a guy who plays drums, and he was a casual acquaintance. I knew him up to a point, but I had lost touch with him. Hadn't heard from him in over a year, if not more. And all of a sudden I got a phone call from him. And he starts making small talk. What are you up to? How you doing? And then he gets kind of quiet, and he says, can I tell you the real reason why I'm calling? And I'm like, okay. He says, dude, I just had the most strangest experience. And he really didn't know how to proceed. And I'm trying to figure out, what is he talking about? And finally, he goes, okay, I'm just going to tell you this. He goes, I don't know if you're going to believe me or not, but, and he just starts to tell me that right then, he had just had an experience very similar to what I just shared with you, where he was communicating with a demon of some sort, a spirit, that was trying to get him to sell his soul for success in music. And he didn't know what to do about it. And so he prayed to God. And he was much older for his experience than I was when I had mine. Did you have to stop? Okay. And so he was kind of aware, a lot more aware, and a lot more savvy than I was when mine happened. And he was, oh man, his experience carried on a lot longer than mine did, and got a lot more deep than mine did. But I'm not going to go in and explain everything he told me. But all I want to say at this point is that he had an experience so strikingly similar to mine, and he had just had it. And he didn't know what to do about it. Now, I should mention, his life seemed over. He had a drinking problem. He had a drug problem. He had a couple of DUIs to the point where they took his license away. They impounded his car. He had no way to get to a job. He lost his job. I mean, his life looked over. And in the midst of, he had to go back home, live with his mom after he had moved out and was an adult living on his own, and he ended up back at home with mom, you know. And so he felt like his life was over. And in this state, a demon came to him and said, I can fix it all for you. And for some hours, they had a conversation. And he didn't like it, though. He knew it was a demon, and he sort of badmouthed that. He said, why should I trust you? Why should I go with you? Why should you want to do anything good for me? You're just going to ruin me further, you know. Oh, like you've got anything going for you now. You know, and you're at the end of your rope. You don't have any. I mean, it was an amazing thing that he described to me. But the point was, he had this experience, and he didn't know what to do about it. And so he prayed. He prayed to God. And he said, God, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. Who would I even talk to about this? Who could I ever get to believe me that this is real, that this happened to me? And I need an answer, and I need someone who won't laugh at me. God told him to go get his address book out, that there was a name and a number in there he wanted him to call. And he went through his address book, and he went down the names on every page, and he came to my name, and God told him, call Barry. So he called me. I hadn't heard from him in over a year, probably. And when he started telling me what had just happened to him, I got, you know, the hair stand up. I was like, oh my gosh. And I said, dude, you're not going to believe this. I know what you're talking about because that happened to me. Very similar happened to me. And anyway, I was able to help him. I mean, his story in itself is quite a story, what happened to him, and how I was able to help him make a decision, an act of his will decision for God. And his life, he didn't know what was going to happen, but his life turned around in a matter of days or weeks. He had a job that didn't require him to have a car. He had an income. He had a place to live. Everything God took care of him. You know, God totally took care of him because he trusted God. And so, the fact that he had an experience like mine and had just had it and could vividly tell it to me made me realize that I don't have to be afraid of my experience, that I don't have to wonder, you know, was it real? It was real. And that gave me the confidence to begin thinking about maybe sharing it and what it could mean.